Hey guys, it's your favorite gold miner, prospector, and geologist, Jeff Williams. And I got you back down here in a drift mine. That's right. We're gonna be doing some gold mining today. And because we are 5 feet back into the heading, I need 5 feet of rail. And we're gonna do some prospecting, look for some gold nuggets, and I got some stories to tell you later on. So buckle up, Cupcake, because we're about to go for a ride. We've advanced all the way up here into the heading. There's our working face right there. You can see all the different layers of strata in there. Do you see that? I got clay zones. In fact, you can see some of the gravels right here. You see that? Little tiny gravels locked in there. And then in here, you actually get a whole bunch of gypsum crystals that precipitate out. Isn't that cool? And I even got roots down here. Look at this. Right out of the hard caliche nodules. That's insane. That's insane in the membrane. We're gonna dig this out right here. That's right. We gotta bring in the big boys. And we gotta carve this down deep enough to get our sleepers put in. So then after that, we put our rails and then our fish plates, and we gotta keep our nuts on the outside. And we see if we can advance this, but I've got this. Look at that. How am I gonna get that down? That thing is hard as cement, but we're gonna figure it out one way or another. Maybe I can get one of you guys out there to come down here with your boomsticks, huh? Come on, Chris, help a brother out. And we found some nuggets right down in here. Remember, I found one there, one way over there, and I think one over here. And we just gave those nuggets away too to our patrons. For you guys that don't know, everything that we dig out of here, we give to our premium patrons. And I'll go over that later. And man, they've got ounces of gold to show for it. But for right now, I gotta lay me some rail, baby. Chicka-wah-wah, yeah, baby! Oh, PG! Now we'll be using this guy to break up the floor and then that guy to clean it up. I love these extreme power right here. These work so good and they're cheap. You can find these online for about 150 bucks. And I'll tell you what, for the money, whoo-hoo, they are worth it. This is the second one that I've gone through. And I'll tell you, they last longer than I thought they would, and for the price, you can't beat it. Yeah, I know, I can hear from here. Jeff, stop all that tongue flapping and chin wagging. Get back in there, lay the rails, and go find some nuggets, because we want to see some gold. I want to see some gold, too. Man, I'm so glad it's only 70 degrees down here, because up on the surface, it's like 112 to 115 in some parts. I've got, I don't know, maybe 90% humidity down here. Taking a bath inside of my vest. That's right, baby. Just don't drop the soap. Oop. I bet you thought I was gonna play some $6 Million Man, huh? Do a little time lapse. No, you all said that you're getting tired of $6 Million Man. That breaks my heart. I love $6 Million Man. I'm the $6 Million miner. So we're just gonna have to come up with an alternative. Ooh, it's time to get funkified. Chicka wow wow, chicka wow wow. Because there's only one that you're getting. And you know what it is, right? Here it comes. I'll tell you what, hard rock mining, drift mining, doesn't matter what kind of mining, it'll test your metal every time. All right, now I got all that out. I'm ready for my sleepers. But first, that's right, I gotta have me my little lunch. This is what I get for lunch, So no chips and couch for me. Woo, I'm sweating my booty off down here. But I'll tell you what, this is a good way to stay in shape and to lose weight. So, do I got any takers, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What?
My name is Jeff.
That's right. All right, give me a minute. I gotta whoop down this lunch, then it's back in the hole. This video was sponsored by Transparent Labs. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Break time's over. Back to work, Slag. Yeah, not too shabby, huh? Yeah, it looks pretty clean. Got a nice cut to it. There's my old existing rails down there. And yeah, I think that's gonna work. Looks pretty clean. I want you to see the slabs that are coming out of here. Do you see this? These things are as hard as concrete. It takes everything just to cut through them. But like I told you earlier, you can't drill and blast with conventional explosives because all the energy is gonna go out into those sand bedding planes, the clays and the sands. It just isn't gonna work. So you have to knuckle through it the hard way. Now, just to make sure I don't have any gold hiding where I just dug out, we're gonna run the detector over it again before we put down our sleepers, because there's nothing worse than putting track over your gold. Yeah, I know, enough tongue wagging. Get in there and find some gold. I'm working on it. All right, let me get on here. All right. That's the track. That sounds good. All right, right there. That's one. Hopefully there's more. Yeah, it's going over to gold. It's going over to gold. Oh, that's nice right there. Oh, that's definitely going over to gold. Right there, that's two, so I got 1, 2. Oh, 3. Nice. 3. Wow, that's big. All right, I got 3 targets. That's why it's so important to go over this new ground before you put ties down, because you never want to put your track on top of gold. That's just silly. All right, let's get on to digging. Ooh, but don't you say nothing. You just dropped them pants. No, get to digging, son. All right, we'll do this the easy way. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. see what we got, Bubba. Come on. Come on. All right, I'll scoop that one up. Next. All right, come on, stay with me. Come on. Ow, what is that? I'll scoop that one up too. Oh, wow. Oh, he's really down in there. That or he's a big 5-ouncer. Come on, stay on. All right, here we go. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got, Papa. Come on. Come on, 5-ouncer. Come on, 5-ouncer. Get over there. Oh, come on. Nice. Right there. All right, come to Pop. Come on. Stop it. Nice. Alright, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Alright. It's out of the hole. Alright, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and localize these targets, but instead of digging the target out, we're gonna scoop them into a bag and give them away, baby. Yeah, what do you think about that? Ooh, did things just get real all of a sudden? Imagine all the fine gold that's sitting around it. Ooh, yeah, baby. All right, let me get busy. Got my bag for my lunch right here. All right, here we go. Nope. 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 Nice. We're just gonna put him in a bag. See that? Yeah. That's gotta be it. I apologize for the bad lighting. I apologize for the bad lighting. No. It's hard to keep these lights on. Hard to keep these lights on, Bubba. All right, let's get these rocks out. Right there, Bubba. Gotcha. Where's my bag at? There it is. All right. Yeah. Right there. You know what? I'm just gonna scoop it up. Scoop the dirt up right here. Put that in there. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put our ties in, our sleepers, then we can put our rail in. I'm gonna go ahead and dig him out a little bit more because it still sounds like there's a shallow target or maybe a deep one down below. So just to be sure, I'm gonna dig them out. Then later, I'm gonna tell you how you can get your hands on this bag. Woo-hoo-hoo. You imagine all the fine gold and the nuggets in here? It's the Motherlode, baby, yeah! All that for that. Got our sleepers in, it looks pretty good. There's the heading. And we'll get busy with that. All right, now I got my sleepers in, or my ties, the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and loosely lay the rail in, attach it with the fish plates, and then I'll use a bubble level to see where we're at, because I only want about a 3% grade on this track. That way it's a lot easier to push a full load over to the skip bucket than it is trying to go uphill. And most of your mines are cut on a small grade going up into wherever it is. If they're doing a haulage tunnel and they're doing a cross cut, or if they're working a drift along the vein itself, they'll literally cut it on about a 3% grade. That way when the mine car is full, which can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, it'll come down that track a lot easier, and that's what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna have fun cutting this brow out. You see this? And you can see a little bit of mineralization in there. You see that right there? And here you can see where I had one of my Sierra blasters go off. See that? That's what I was telling you. You can't blast this stuff because most of this clay is gonna absorb the energy even if it's a thick zone that you're blasting through. Here's another one right here. Yeah, I know, I can hear from here. Just stop all that chin wagging and get on to laying that rail. We want to see what that looks like. I want to see what that looks like. Yeah, not bad, huh? Look at that. That looks pretty darn good. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, yeah. And our level looks pretty good. Got that 3% grade on it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All we gotta do now is backfill it. Get up underneath those ties, pack some rocks around there. Yeah. And that is what all this is gonna be for right here. Now for you guys out there that have never put track down or laid track, come on now, PG. It's very important that the distance between the rails is very exact. You gotta use what's called a track gauge. And for us, this is our track gauge right here. And what we do is we'll put this inside of the track, and then when we go to mount the track, we push it over as far as possible after we mount one side, and we'll tack in the other side. That way we know that the rail is exactly the distance it needs to be, because if it's too narrow, mine car's gonna jam up. If it's too wide, it's gonna derail. So it's very important to use these track gauges like this. Now, as far as pitch and grade go, we use one of these little bubble levelers. Yeah, it's perfect. And it's got a magnet on the bottom, so it just sticks right on top of the rail. It's real easy, but a lot of guys forget about it. I know, I can hear it from here. Come on, Jeff, hurry up, backfill. We want to see that thing working. Man, you guys are a tough crowd. All right, we got our mine car filled up with the material we didn't use, the backfill. Looks like I'm gonna need to grease those wheels again. All right, let's go take a look and see what this looks like. Nice, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that's real good, like. That's pretty. You got some pretty rails in there. Yeah, that's not bad, huh? It's not bad at all. Nice. Now let's see how that 3-degree pitch feels. Oh yeah, I can move this with hardly any effort. Oh, that feels good. Even around the corner. Nice. Man, that feels really good. I'm not kidding. The grade is perfect. It practically coasts downhill. I don't even have to give it that much effort. I don't think I'll need electric trammer in here. Ooh, I'll just have my wife pushing it around. She might be listening. You know the foreman's always sneaking up on you. You guys want to go for a minecart ride, huh? Let me hear you say yeah. Let me hear you say yeah. Ding 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 ding. So now I know you're saying, Jeff, I thought you told us that you were gonna tell us a nice story. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a story, and trust me, you're gonna wanna hear this one because it's gonna motivate you to get off that couch and stop eating those chips. All right, we're gonna come back here into the older workings. That way I don't have that air blower in my ear, and you probably can't hear me anyway with my soft, delicate voice. Pay attention, because class is in session. Now, as most of you guys know, all the gold that we mine out of this drift mine goes to our premium patrons. And we have different tier levels for them as well. And one of them is a consultation tier. And what that means is that they can contact us personally and we'll help them with their gold mining projects, whether that's placer or hard rock. Well, one of our patrons that signed up under the consultation tier, his name is Clifford M. Andrews. And he wanted so bad to find gold. Well, at the time that he got a hold of me, he was down in Guantanamo Bay. No, he wasn't locked up. He was one of the soldiers down there, silly boy. So he always wrote to me and said, Jeff, I want to go up to the States and find gold so bad. Told him as soon as he gets back to the States to let us know, and we'll do everything we can to get him onto the gold. And Clifford is 52 and he's a disabled veteran. Well, it wasn't too long after that, he did get back to the States. So he went from Colorado to New Mexico, and then of course into Kingman, Arizona. And I told him, you know, there is a lot of gold in Arizona and Nevada and California, but he was interested in finding his own claim. And he was really fixated on the story that I told years ago about a gentleman who worked for ExxonMobil, and he, in his spare time, would go prospecting down at Mineral Bar. Well, he found the old tertiary channel that was feeding the gold into Mineral Bar outside of Colfax. Well, he told his son. Well, his son is in his 70s, and he told me where it was. And then I made a video and I told you where it was. Well, he saw that video and it inspired him and motivated him to want to go out and find his own tertiary channel or blue lead. And so he fought really hard to find a claim. And when he thought he did have a claim, he started heading out to California. But the sad part was it was a scam. He was very frustrated. Well, he says, I'm headed up to Reno. I just got a flat tire, so I'm kind of stuck on the side of the road. So I told him, once you get into Reno, let us know, and then we'll lead you into the Motherlode country where we think you're going to have a good chance of finding gold. Well, as he was going down, he saw one river in particular, and I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but he saw it and he thought, you know what? I'm going to go down there and sample like Jeff told me. Now, keep in mind that Andrew, or Big Red Dog as he's called on the patron site, he had a hard time walking. He was pushing 400 pounds and he had to use a walker. Even though he could barely walk, he wanted to find that gold really bad. He would take his walker and he would go 40 feet, then take a break, 40 feet, then take a break. And what he did is over the period of 4 months, he lost 60 pounds just going down and sampling around these different rivers. Well, then eventually he got to the point where he didn't need the walker anymore. He could actually go several hundred feet, but he still had to bring a stool with him, okay? And he would walk so far and sit down and breathe, take a break, walk so far. He kept doing that until he didn't need the stool anymore. He eventually found an area he really, really wanted to sample. According to him, it was 1,800 feet in elevation from where he parked down to the river. Can you imagine that? And so they hiked all the way down there and they sampled and they found little bits of gold. So he was super, super excited about that. And it's funny because he said when he was down there sampling, he tripped and fell into the river. And he said it was like falling in slow motion. And he did say, and yeah, you're gonna get wet, as he was falling in. The time he was out looking for gold, he said he could hear my voice in his head. Can you imagine that? Hear my voice in your head all day long? And it said, that gold's not gonna jump into the pan all by itself. Get off that couch and stop eating those chips. And that's what he did. And he kept doing it and doing it. And pretty soon it turned into 20 to 25 day prospecting trips. He got stronger and stronger. Well, he got tired of climbing that 65% grade. So one day coming up from the river, he decided to take an alternate route. And so he went all the way upstream and he zigzagged like a switchback to get to the top because it was easier that way. It only had like a 30-35% grade. Well, as he was heading up, he noticed that there was all this round river rock sticking out. And he's like, that looks like an old river channel. And then he saw old workings everywhere. And it was easy to spot because of all the fires they've had recently in California. And so he brought his buddy over and they started sampling around where the old timers had been working. Now keep in mind, nobody had been there since the gold rush days because everything was grown over heavy. But after the fire, it made things really easy to see. Well, they found this one section that looked like it had a blue tint to it, which is the blue lead. They dug into that and they sampled it and it had tons of gold in it. But the problem is that they were way up above the river. And they're like, well, what do we do? So the story that I told him earlier was that the guy built a zip line. So that's what they did. They built a 500-foot zip line from the outcrop of that old tertiary channel, the blue lead, all the way down to the river, and they had their sluice down there. Ooh, you imagine that? Bucketing it down there. They're getting all excited because they got one man at the top, one man at the bottom, and they're just moving that material. And he said, Jeff, I couldn't believe it. We only moved 8 buckets of material down to the river, and this is what we got. Woo-hoo! Now that is a lot of gold for just 8 buckets. That motivated the heck out of him. And he told me that he was finding tons of small quartz veins running through the decomposing slate, the black slate that's out there. Those had free mill gold in them as well. He couldn't believe it. So he was getting super excited, of course, super nervous too, wanted to make sure nobody was watching him. And he said most of the rocks that he was breaking open had free mill gold inside of them. Can you imagine that? Ooh, so he's trying really hard to make sure nobody's following him and he's not telling anybody. But he said he's going to continue sending pics to me and I'm going to post those when I can. But I wanted you to hear his story because if there was ever an inspirational story, this is it. This should make anybody get motivated enough to get off the couch, throw down those chips and donuts, get out there, do your diligence, get there with boots on the ground, check the area out, and find that gold. There's no excuse. You can't possibly make an excuse at this point. If this guy can do it, who was disabled, couldn't hardly walk, was was pushing 400 pounds, needed a walker, and then got to the point where he could get his own zip line down the river and traverse all the way down and up again with no problem, you can do it too. And I know you can. So I want you to get out there and find that shiny, okay? Because it's there. And there's tons of it out there. People think it's all gone. It's not all gone. And remember, that gold is not going to jump into your pan. You need to get out there and find it. And you will find it. And when you do, oh man, the feeling you're going to get is going to be beyond anything you've ever felt before. And I'll see you guys on the next video.